Hey guys, this is Azra here, and we are back with the Bangor Regionals from the end of May. The legal data pack up at this point was Salset Island, and we've got Swiss Round 3, Game 1. Gary McDowell, brother actually of Daryl McDowell, who was on the previous video, on the left hand side. And on the right hand side, we got Jared Pryor, who's bringing Engineering the Future. So these guys aren't playing decks that are really too different from what you might expect. The Wizard deck is running a little bit more ice destruction maybe than you might be used to. 2 Fork, 2 Knife, 2 Spoon, and 3 Parasite on top, with only 2 Faust, and it's actually got a spicy little Nerve Edge in it as well to make things a little bit different. Other than that though, very straightforward. On the other side of the table, Engineering the Future under Jared here. Pretty much the kind of food coach deck you'd expect. However, he's running 3 NAPD contracts to be very taxing on those. And he is running a very barrier heavy deck. It's 18 ice in all, 11 barriers and 7 sentries. I should say as well, guys, once we get to the end of the videos, I will post a link to the tournament results where you can see the final standings from the day and the top 8 deck list as well. If you're curious on that, that'll be in the final video of the playlist. But for now, Wizard kept his opening hand, ETF did actually mulligan his, and Jared starts by installing and getting the also good credit after hedge funding as well. So Sure Gamble coming out of Wizard. Second click, we're going to see the top card, and it's a Jackson, which is, wow, fantastic first hit. If you're not going to see an agenda, seeing a Jackson with the Wizard first access is pretty good, followed by an Eli. Always good to know that's there. Some advanced assembly lines in Jared's hand actually. I'd be curious to see how those work alongside his Adonis campaigns to bring a bit of extra burst economy into the deck. Oh my word! Wow, so a Heimdall 2.0 res, and that was actually Gary's last click, which means we're going to see 2 brain damage. My word, and the brain damage is not going to do anything with the I've had worse, so that is Wizard down to 3 maximum hand size on turn 1. My word, not exactly the way he'd like that to go down. Thankfully didn't lose anything like a wild side or anything incredibly important, but the 11 credit res, absolutely huge. And oh, I think there was just a little confusion here. Jared's actually trying to hedge fund when he actually has no credits, and that's being corrected. So yeah, so we're just going back to the start of the turn. I had to pause a moment myself where the players were having a quick look at that. I think Jared didn't realise he'd actually gone down to a single credit after resing the Heimdall 2.0. So pulling back that hedge fund, just restarting the turn just as you should, which is great. So then we see the install, there we go. And just a credit then for third click. And then start of the turn, we're going to get a 1 res with assembly lines, which is then going to give 3 credits back, and it's going to be straight away trashed to allow Jared to install another card, which he does over R&D, and that'll net him a credit. So it's really nice. You install it, you get a credit on your turn, and then if you immediately pop it on the runner's turn, you're going to get the 3 credits back from it, plus the 1 for installing a card. Is this likely to be the Eli? It is indeed. Okay. So pretty solid defenses up right now. There is 2 knifed in the Wizard deck, but like that 2 brain damage at the start is really kind of set him back a little bit. He's having to manually draw now, and also has to be careful not to flood his hand. He's going to have to maybe play cards a little bit faster than he'd like to do. No economy in his hand as of yet. Meanwhile, Jared's getting a little bit flooded. We've got 2 agendas in there. We've got an Ash, and that looks like, is that a Vikram in his hand, I think? We're thinking about an Ash. And I think that's an Ash that's been installed in the root of R&D, which is why it's there. I think just in terms of space, he's just popped it in front of the deck to make it a little bit easier for now while there's only 1 piece of ice there. So first click, running the Eli, R&D, and spending second and third clicks to click through. We are going to see the Ash resed. I'm not quite sure why he's resing him here. There's no multiple accesses coming out, and he's going to just trash him for 3. It does prevent him seeing a card, which, I mean, could be important, but I'm not quite sure how valuable that was. It does set Wizard back 3 clicks for nothing, basically. and takes a click for a credit. So a bit of an end turn. It turns out it was what looks like an architect, which is going to go ahead and get instantly installed over the Eli. And takes credits and passes the turn back. So meanwhile, Wizard is digging for his wild side and is not seeing it. Not seeing wild side or any economy, and right now on 7 credits is definitely stung for being able to play everything he wants out of his hand here and still discard down to 3 cards, which I think Gary is starting to realise. Luckily, he does have a couple of doubles he can get rid of. So meanwhile, HB is continuing to shore up his central servers. At this point, there's still 2 agendas in hand, I believe, so we definitely want to start seeing a remote coming up. Data socket draw for Wizard. Nerve Agent. I mean, you'd like to say it could be useful in this scenario, but with Heimdall 2.0 sitting on the table, it's really not going to be doing a huge amount. Third click Data socket comes down, and fourth click take a credit. And is the Nerve Agent going to go? No, the levy goes. We've got the same old thing out now, so the levy there, we'll kind of bring that back as and when it's needed. Jackson installed and rezzed, and then used twice. So this is going to get rid of those agendas that Jared doesn't want. You're probably going to end up shuffling back the global food, I'd imagine. And he's going to shuffle back straight in. Now, funny enough, I actually did hear Jared ask how many credits you on 7. I'm not sure if he fears a Hades shard, but I guess it's probably worth doing no matter what. That being said, he could have taxed a click out of Gary, but it's probably a methodology of better safe than sorry. And Gary is going to be super happy to see a wild side click 1, I imagine. So he could go wild side, adjusted chronotype here. And quick shuffle and cut. And yes, there's adjusted chronotype. Okay, so now Wizard's got his draw engine. He's still restricted by this 3-hand size, and he is on 1 credit, which is going to be a bit tight for him, but at least he's going to have 4 clicks a turn to click for credits and hopefully install stuff as he starts to see his money. So there is 3 daily casts to be seen. We've got Sure Gamble still to come and Career Fairs alongside Liberated Accounts, so just a bit of a usual economy sweep for Wizard. So as soon as that starts to feed through, I think the Wizard game's going to accelerate pretty hard because he really has everything he needs now to start putting the pressure on, except the economy. That being said, we could see some early pressure just with the Faust onto R&D again, if he feels like single accesses are worth breaking through that Eli for 3 cards with Faust. So we see click 1 was credit, click 2 used Eli. I like this play a lot actually. And then just 2 more credits. I think that's a knife and a spoon, and the Nerve Agent does eventually go. I think that Heimdall 2.0 was just a little bit too much to deal with to get reliable returns from Nerve Agent. Meanwhile, ETF is now starting to get that remote going. And at this point, you're sort of thinking, can I put this agenda down with no Ash defending it? Can I pop it down on its own? Is he going to have enough cards to get through? And that's where the 2 brain damage has actually been really influential. This means Faust is only going to be starting with 5 cards with a loyal side at the start of the turn. So Jared knows that a Turing... is he actually running Turings? No, he's not. He's not running any code gates at all. So he has to really think, is there enough defense on this to warrant the agenda going in completely undefended by an upgrade? Very cute little red cube virus token heads on to the Parasite on Eli. And Daily Cast is going to start to relieve a little bit of that financial pressure, and now Wizard goes completely broke. Does have 4 cards in his hand, I think. So he's just, I don't know if he's trying to mull over which one he should trash here. Oh no, sorry, forgive me. He actually did have another click left and gets rid of the spoon. Which, I don't know if Gary was aware at this point. He has only seen 2 ice and they were both both barriers, sorry. But the spoon drop is absolutely fantastic because there isn't a single code kit in the deck. So keeping the knifed an absolutely perfect play. So that's what I think the other... Oh no, it actually might be another spoon he has in his hand. Can't see as he shuffles incredibly fast there. So it's interesting when watching these games back to watch players and sort of see their ticks in terms of how they handle the cards and how they do things like pass the turn and take credits. Everyone has their own unique style. I know personally, I know I'm aware of mine and try to be as polite and as clear as possible. I know some guys like to sort of just be a little hidden when they're trashing cards, or like to just kind of be a bit more demanding when they're telling you to go and start taking your turn and such. And it's always interesting to see the variety in players, which I think brings a lot to the 1v1 card format. And oh, fantastic. Okay, so these cards I think have come at an absolutely great time here for Gary. He probably knows he can get in where he needs to with Faust, but he now has that economy to sit behind it and back him up, which is going to let him get his turntable down here, let him get his clone chip into play as well if he needs it. But yeah, I really think the 2 brain damage has really stopped Gary utilising Faust to its fullest. He has been trashing quite a few cards, which usually I think would be used to be attacking and breaking in. Meanwhile, on Jared's side of the table, he has a really healthy economy himself, and it looks like he's probably going to get his first agenda out. Maybe considering should he over advance it and try and be cheeky and pop the Ash down, but nope, decides to just triple advance to Vitruvius and go to 2 points, giving himself a little bit of a lead. So that's just Vitruvius alongside Jackson just off the edge of the map there. So Jared currently sitting on 16 credits, while Gary is on what I believe is 5. Sure Gamble's pretty nice here if you wanted to sure gamble and then run somewhere. He could potentially try and get the Eli killed with the Data Sucker counter off of Archives. There is only one Cyberdeck Spire Suite in Jared's deck. Okay, so sure gambles. At this point, I don't feel like Wizard needs to be that rushed. I think it's ridiculous how much pressure Faust puts on, knowing that you can get in most places. But Gary doesn't know, of course, that there's no Turings in this deck, and that maybe that remote isn't as difficult that he might fear. He runs R&D and an Architect pops up. Gary maybe having a quick look to see if there's any forks in his bin that he might want to use. He does run only one same old thing, so with the Levy binned, he's going to have to probably keep it for that. So we're going to see 3 cards go for breaks. So boost, break, break, and I think he's got enough clicks to get through the Eli here. I believe he sure gambled then run, so I think he could 2-click the Eli if he wanted to. But no, he's actually going to bounce off the Eli, and he's not going to continue on. Just being a little bit cautious, which I think is fine. Oh, and there's a medium actually, which might have changed things slightly. And then a David. Okay, so these are components now that are really going to give Wizard much more comfortable pressure. When he has that David down, he can face check the remote far more happily. The Parasite that was sitting on Eli is going to get overwritten. So yeah, new bit of ice on R&D, and what looks like a Vitruvius with an Ash defending it going into that remote. So will we see the installed David and then a charge into this remote now? The David gives you security against the likes of Assassin and even the Heimdall 2.0 or 1.0 and the likes of Turing as well. But we do know Jared's not running them, but Gary does not know that. So click 1 installs David. So you could click 2, I've had worse, which he's going to, and then potentially fill up his hand a little bit, and then run in this remote if he likes. Oh, Career Fair Daily Cast is a nice combo. He really would probably rather not trash. Oh, wow, yeah. He's now. This is a tough part where having that smaller hand size again is maybe giving Gary some tough choices to make in terms of, do I want to actually play these rather than run in and trash them? And yet he's going to do exactly that. And I must admit, I think I'd be leaning that way as well myself. But we all know this is Vitruvius sitting in the remote, so it's a tough call. Gary deciding that the cards in his hand, Career Fair, Daily Cast, and Medium, are more focused potentially on a longer game, and that might be slightly risky, but I like it. And here we go. Second agenda for Jared, so that's going to be a second project for Vitruvius, putting him 4-0 up. Meanwhile, on the other side of the table, Wizards' adjusted chronotype wildside combo alongside this drip economy now is just going to power him through. And what do we see? So there's a second medium in hand. There's another I've had worse. I think that's a knifed as well. Is killing the Heimdall 2.0 an option here? Is he at HQ even somewhere that Wizard now cares about? I doubt it somewhat. I think with the medium and a second medium in hand, R&D is probably going to be the port of call. But you've always got that risk that potentially Jared has the winning agenda in his hand, and if you don't check it, you could get into a bad spot. So yeah, I think we're probably going to see an R&D run here. Although no Mimic. Was that a Mimic actually just drawn into? Yes, it was. So again, Gary may delay just one more turn here. Yeah. I think running into R&D and having to trash 3 cards for an Architect when you could just hold off one turn and install the Mimic again is another choice, but he's slowing down his game slightly. And on the other side of the table, we have Jared with what looks like an NAPD, an Enhanced Login Protocol, and some more beefy ice. So this is a really interesting tipping point for me here, where ETF does not have that many credits, only 9. And we're going to see an extra R&D install, which I think is absolutely valid. Didn't catch what that was that went down. So an install and take 2 credits, I believe, and then pass back to Gary. Okay, and here we go. So first click was Tech 4 from Liberated. Second click, we are rocking into R&D. Doesn't look like any res in the first one, and the second one is a second Architect. So that's pretty good. The Mimic is going to do work here. It's going to be just 2 credits for each one of the Architects. Oh, now, I think just for clarity's sake, if you didn't hear there, I think what Gary was doing was just adding the virus counter onto one medium and just letting them kind of sit on top of each other there, just so they're able to keep track a little bit more easily. I do believe that they're going to get separated later on in the game, just to kind of make sure there's no confusion. But it looks like Tech 4 from Liberated and run, and then Tech 4 from Liberated and run again. So we'll be seeing 3 cards this time. Double medium doing work. Wall of Static. Was that Cruising Grid? I wasn't sure what the last one was actually. So pretty strong R&D lock coming out here from Wizard. Trashing a David and a handful of clone chips, economy, and what looks like a knife. That's a really, really tough decision actually. Wow. Yeah, like that is not a group of cards you want to be getting rid of. think Gary's very right here just to take a moment and really think about what he wants to get rid of. Oh, it could be the knifed. It is going to be the knifed. Okay, I think he knows he has a second one still to come. And right now, he's getting in where he needs to. Those architects that are untrashable, both placed in front of R&D, pretty good from Jared, but Mimic just deals with them so efficiently. So I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen the enhanced login protocol go down, just to even tax an extra click for the first run. That being said, though, I almost feel like it's kind of inevitable that we're going to see an agenda scored off R&D in the next turn or two. Oh, no, we're going to purge viruses, which I think is pretty legitimate. We've only got 6 credits on Jared's side of the table, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to afford to res that outside piece of ice in R&D. If he could, though, I think it would be another great way to slow the game down slightly. So the well side has drawn into a fort, and then the click one liberated. The fort kind of useless at the minute, as those architects really aren't going anywhere. Another liberated comes down. And I think this is a last click R&D. So no res, we're going to pay 4 to get in and see 1 card, and it's an Eli. So much ice. So I guess Jared here, just looking at his side of the table, he's not seen a huge amount of his economy at all. He hasn't seen any of his 3 Adonis campaigns. I believe he's only seen 1, maybe 2 hedge funds. He also has a 3rd and a couple of green level clearances in there as well. And I think really not seeing the Adonis campaigns and kind of forcing the wizard to come and deal with that by running into the remote is hurting him a lot, actually. He's got a handful of ice and no money really to put it out and res it. Six cards left in the wizard deck. Same old thing, Levy could be coming pretty soon. Oh my goodness, yeah, he is going 4 deep now in R&D. So, looks like he paid 3, gained 1 back, and then just took 2 credits, I believe, to balance that out. Yeah, took 2 credits just for clicks 2 and 3. I think you might just see my hand here just sticking in a little bit and just bringing the cards into the board state a little bit clearer and just getting those mediums separated out just to ensure that there's clarity for you guys. So click 1, in we go, no res, and 4 credits. So really abuse of the financial situation of ETF here, and we're going to see 3 cards. Looks like Ice, NAPD, Gary thinks about for a quick second, and then an Ash, which is going to get trashed with Wizards 3 credits. Cannot say no to that. And yeah, this R&D lock is just absolutely brutal. The money situation for Wizard is still pretty decent. He is running out though. He doesn't have a lot of cards left in his deck, so the Levy's probably going to get popped soon, and that may create a window of opportunity for Jared. That being said, the cast is going to pop down and keep the pressure on. And it's just a money turn for Jared. Looks like he takes 3 credits and just passes it right back. And yeah, this is just not a great position for ETF at all here. There's no breaker bays in the deck, but one of these Adonises just needs to be hitting Jared's hand, and I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to get one. That being said, he has 9 credits now, so we could see a big res on R&D. But the problem with Wizard is he can probably deal with it relatively quick. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is going to see a Heimdall 1.0 res. Now I'm not sure if Gary still has knifed in hand, but if he does, he might just want to click the brain damage, bounce off this. No, he has a fort. He's mulling it over a little bit in his head here. No, he is actually going to break all 3. He's going to try and make this run count, rather than bouncing off and coming back with a knife potentially to try and kill it. This time, he's going to take the NAPD. Hedge Fund, Advanced Assembly Lines is going to bite the Wizard Dust. An Ichi 1.0 and an Adonis. 2 credits remaining on Wizard. You could pay 1. I think you gotta trash this, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good call. It cost him a credit because he'd already used one of his Wizard credits, but killing that Adonis, I think, has got to be brutal for Jared here. And just 2 credits then for clicks 3 and 4. So, do you purge here? If you're Jared, you're on 0 credits. Your R&D is relatively well defended with that Heimdall 1.0 for now. The fear of a knifed into sort of triple click, though, killing that Heimdall and really opening up the R&D is pretty brutal. Yeah, there's only one Cyberdex Virus Suite in Jared's deck. Obviously, if the medium dig was to hit that early, it would be pretty good. Mandatory is a hedge fund. It might just push Jared towards moneying up, but no, he's going to decide to purge, which I think is absolutely valid. I think forcing the Wizard player, Gary, here to deal with the Heimdall 1.0 is a great shout. And he definitely needed to get that res to shirt up a little bit, and it's really important now just how long that lasts. Meanwhile, oh, that looks like, was that the knife that got drawn? So I feel like a knifed burn your hand into levy might be the call here. There'll be 5 cards for Faust to deal with it. I think he might only have 5 in hand actually, but he could use clicks. And it looks like credit, credit, credit. And then he's going to pay 4th click, pay 1 to knifed. Oh my word! Oh, and some interesting gestures coming out from Jared there. Yeah, so knifed just hit a paper wall, which means that if Wizard breaks it, it's going to get knife that gets destroyed and not Heimdall. What an interesting play. I like this a lot. 2 paper walls actually in Jared's deck, probably for exactly this situation. I don't know what's going through Gary's mind here. Is he thinking about breaking it and trashing it, or is he thinking about potentially parasiting the paper wall and then going back in again? I don't know. Yeah, I think he's got to do that. And then he's probably just going to jack out. Yep. So wow, yeah, so Jared manages to defend Heimdall 1.0 for a turn, and ooh, no, Gary's actually deciding he wants to keep going. So he's going to use his clone chip to bring in a brand new David, overriding the old David, and he's going to pay through. Is he going to pay through? I'm not sure quite what happened there actually. He just brought in the new David but then jacked out actually. So he's obviously just preparing his deck for a levy this turn, I think. I thought he was actually going to continue all in there and try and grab a card off the top, but no, decided against it. Yeah, first and second there with the same old thing going to be used to get levy, which was discarded right back at the start of the game. And all of a sudden, Wizard is ready to start piling on the pressure again. And meanwhile, Jared has just not seen enough of his economy at all. Okay, so these first 5 cards are pretty important for Wizard here. We'd like to see a little bit more economy so we can keep mimicking through the Architect. That being said, though, Wildside Adjusted Chronotype will do its thing and get him where he needs to go. Career Fair Liberated, that's going to be just what he wants. So third, clicks for a credit, and fourth, installs the Liberated. And that is just instantaneous pressure now he's going to put back on. Oh my word, a spicy, aggressive secretary here. So clicks for credit, hedge funds, installs another piece of ice. Is that another paper wall? It could well be, actually, and I think a pretty legitimate play to ensure that Heimdall stays alive and stays taxing. And that career fair Liberated just ensuring that Gary could get down to his 3 maximum hand size due to the brain damage as well. Just absolutely a fantastic levy draw. First click, he's going to knifed. What's on the outside of the server? It is a wall of static. Okay, so not a paper wall, but again, another way to defend the big barrier. And the architect sitting behind it, unable to be killed as well. Pretty solid R&D, excuse me, pretty solid R&D defense coming out here. Automatically wanted to say R&D interface. So both these guys play pretty regularly against each other. They're both pretty regular weekly or fortnightly players in the Belfast meta. I don't think either is expecting anything too surprising, but that aggressive secretary in Jared's hand, if he really wanted to install advance, could he get Gary to run it? Probably not while he's on such low credit counts. He'd need to convince Gary that he can res everything and stop him getting in. And I just don't know if Jared's going to be able to get there, and here comes a second knifed. Heimdall is going to bite the dust. I'm going to see a wall of static on top. And more important than that, we're going to see 2 medium counters. And Jared, who's been 4-0 up for quite some time now, is just starting to slowly lose his grip on this game. Well, he's not been seeing the cards in the order he wants them. Gary has been getting pretty nice economy and supporting cards. Double knife there, coming up early after his levy when he runs 2 in the deck was really nice for him. I think Gary's potentially just setting up here for a turn where he can do a couple of medium runs in one go. A couple of back-to-back medium runs could really just decimate this. There's not a huge amount of cards left in Jared's deck. He's at least over halfway through. Well, and I've had worse for click 3, I believe, actually. He's not quite sure what Gary's digging for here. Maybe he's just going to run this time with a few extra cards. Oh yeah, and last click he is going to run R&D, hitting an Eli. And that I've had worse is about to pay off very nicely. He's going to need 3 cards here. Easy enough to do, I think. Yeah. So pump, break with 4 cards. 4 credits for the 2 architects. Mimic doing fantastic work this game. We're going to see 3. First is an NAPD. Second is a global food. Putting it to 4-4 and didn't quite catch what the third was. Having a bit of a think about that one. Oh, Trash is a Christian grid, okay. So using wizard credits yet again to some significant value. And we're tied up 4-4. I think Jared will be really sad to see that global food go. It really could have been an opportunity for him to get the 7 points. Okay, so an install, advance once, take a credit. Is that an NAPD that's been in hand for a while, or is that potentially the aggressive secretary? I don't think either way Gary's probably going to care. He can get in here now for 3 cards and 4 credits, and that is where he's going. He's going to pump, break, and actually click to break through the E-line. And then 4 credits go to the architects, and oh, there's a project for Vitruvius. Oh my goodness, and a beta test, and that unrelenting R&D pressure just finally bringing the game to Gary there. And despite pretty amazing defense, especially with those paper walls and wall of statics, saving that Heimdall from Jared, he just could not stop the pressure. So look, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. On the game on the left, if you want to click it, you can go back to round 2 game 1, or jump into the next game with Gary and Jared playing round 3 game 2. Thanks so much as ever for watching.